You're about to see Richard Bandler demonstrate how he performs rapid hypnotic inductions. Dr. Bandler eloquently displays his talent for making the various complexities of his communication skills seem effortless in this remarkable demonstration.
Thank you very much. Welcome to Chaos Land. Today, we're going to do a couple of things. The first thing I wanted to do is to give you a little bit of history. When I started doing hypnosis, it was primarily at the request of Gregory Bateson, who is what I consider to be one of the great English communicators. Gregory founded the field of heuristics probably some 50 years ago. When I met Gregory because he moved across the driveway from me, and Gregory looked at the work that I was doing, and he said, you know, you really should study hypnosis, especially Milton H. Erickson. And I'd read some books on hypnosis. I was hypnotized when I was 7 years old by a magician, and I liked it. It was fine. But I started telling people, well, I was going to study hypnosis. I bought lots of books about it. And one of the things that happened was that I noticed there was an odd response. Most of the psychotherapists said to me, oh, you don't want to study hypnosis. It's bad. And it doesn't exist. Which is kind of a weird combination. Now, that made me really interested. When I thought about doing hypnosis, I thought, you know, well, here's something that really frightens psychotherapists. I should learn it. I also found that hypnotists had a slightly better attitude. And I know some of you were a little upset because I pick on psychologists, but you guys like pain. Also, since the beginning of my career, one of the things I've tried to do is to get people out of the domain of looking at people as if there's something wrong with them. When I started out, it was because I went into horrible mental hospitals. And mental hospitals used to be really evil compared to what they are now. They used to be terrible, dingy little places with metal bars and little contraptions that looked like they came out of Boris Karloff movies, where they tortured people. They shoved electric juice through their heads. They gave them horrible drugs. And they were absolutely certain that schizophrenics couldn't be hypnotized. In fact, they spent millions and millions of dollars at Stanford proving that only a certain percentage of the population could be hypnotized. Now, there were some innovative people. There was a guy named Spiegel, and he was one of the first people to formalize rapid hypnotic inductions. He had people roll their eyes back in their head and then close their eyes, and did it to measure who was hypnotizable and who wasn't. The further you could roll your eyes back in your head, the deeper you could go, according to him. I took somebody who scored a 0 on the Spiegel test and knocked them into a deep trance and did every hypnotic phenomenon. They used to say that in order for people to be hypnotized, it took hundreds, if not thousands of hours to learn to do deep trance. These are hypnotists saying this. This isn't even psychologists. Psychologists didn't believe that hypnosis was a valuable tool. They said it only treated the symptom. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think treating the symptom is, first and foremost, one of the very important things that you do. If somebody is terrified of elevators, making it so they can get in one and go up and down is a good thing. And if it only takes a couple minutes to do it, even if it comes back later, you can do it again. That giving people freedom is what my work is about. Now, one of the freedoms that I want everybody to have has to do with your ability to learn, because Milton Erickson is the first person I ever saw do a rapid induction. And by the way, I gave Milton credit for doing the handshake interrupt. Milton was paralyzed in the right arm. That would have been impossible. I did that to see if anyone was paying attention. But what Milton actually did is he took somebody and he took a hold of their arm, he lifted it up and he looked them in the eye, and he began touching them ambiguously so that their arms sort of stayed like this. And then pretty soon, after 45 minutes, they dropped into a trance. Well, to me, I just don't think that it should take that long. And over the years, I've studied different hypnotic techniques, And I found that there are really two types of hypnotic inductions that work quickly. One has to do with catching people between programs that go on in their mind, that you do something. Milton did a hypnotic induction once where this guy, a doctor, came up out of the audience and walked up to Milton, and Milton stuck his hand up like he was going to shake it. He had to actually lift his hand, and he went like this. And the guy stuck his hand out, and Milton bent over and tied his shoe. And the guy was like this. And then Milton went, go and sit in the chair and drop into trance. Well, that was really the first handshake interrupt. Now, for me, over the years, one of the things that I've tried to do is to find ways of making it so that people can go into trance rapidly, quickly, and easily. So I've taken these kinds of techniques. Now, the other category, which you'll see today, is there's a lot of hypnotic techniques that have to do with fixating your gaze and your concentration. Hypnosis is not a state. A lot of people think if you go into a trance, you can't see and you can't hear. That one's called death. Okay, that's a different state. When you're dead, you won't see or hear or feel anything. Hypnosis is really a state of heightened awareness. It's a state where you go into and focus your attention more than you do normally. You actually hear better. You actually have control over your feelings. You can control your heart rate, your blood pressure. Most people can't do that in the waking state. Last year when I was in the hospital, the nurse came in every hour and checked, I guess, to see that I was alive, which is a good thing. But she put this little thing on my finger, and this little digital thing went, and it would go, you know, your heart is beating this many beats per minute. And I have to admit, I was somewhat bored, so I started putting it on my finger when she wasn't there and practicing. And then when she would come in, you know, I would go, how many beats a minute do you want my heart to beat? And she goes, well, I'm just finding out what it is doing. And I said, how about 66? And I'd stick my finger in and go, and it would be 66. And then I go, how about 82? Make it go up to 82. And then she looked at me and I said, hi. Very high. Now, controlling your neurology through yoga, through concentration, through meditation, meditation is not different than hypnosis, except that it's less directive. That when I learned to do meditation the first time, they had us repeat this mantra over and over again. We went inside and said a Hindu word for a certain color and repeated it over and over and over again until we got so bored we drifted into an altered state. It also habituates because by firing the same neurons over and over again, it has a tendency to alter your state. Many of you, where you were young, focused on a candle, you stared at it and went into a somewhat relaxed state. It's a trance state. It's not something that's out of the ordinary. I see it every day in the hotel when I get in the elevator. People go in and they press the button. They look at the floor thing. The elevator doors open and they start to jump out. And they go, oops, I'm not getting off here. Well, that's true. But the doors open, the command is leave. You know, that it's a program. It's like sometimes you've driven up behind somebody and the car in front of you stops. And the light changes and they don't. And that's just because they've drifted away for a moment. Having your mind wander is not out of the ordinary. Having your mind focus so intensely on something that you can begin to really relax in our modern society, I think is a good thing. I find that if I trance people out, that a lot of the things that are difficulties. Recently, I had a guy that bit his nails down to the bone. Every single fingernail on every hand was gone. And he was, of course, I would say, a little too tense. In fact, he was way too tense. He thought every day, all day long, he would ask himself the question, am I going to die? And, of course, the answer to that is yes, but not right now. But worrying about it wasn't making it so that he got anything else in life done. And, you know, today, you know, given the economic situation and all the chaos going on in the world, there are still more people with warm, full, and dry and a chance to enjoy freedom than there ever has been. It doesn't mean the world is perfect, and it doesn't mean that there aren't places where awful things are going on. But if we spend our time feeling bad about it rather than doing something about it, things will never get better. So one of the things in this course that I want to arm you with is the ability to get around the long conversation. The long conversation goes like this. They pull out their violins and they come in and they go, well, you see, I've been in therapy for 4 years. Let me tell you all the insight I discovered. And I always interrupt them. I go, excuse me, do you still have your problem? And they'll go, well, yes. And I go, then everything you're about to tell me is now of no interest. And they go, but I spend a lot of money on it. They go, I understand my problem. And it used to be that people believed if you understood your problems would change. And it's a nice idea, it just doesn't work. Lots of people understand how they got screwed up, and they're still just as screwed up as they were. But if you could get people out of their normal mode of thinking and put in some new ideas, it's pretty easy for people to do new things. I know in this audience here alone that some of you have had experiences that really only took a few moments, and things that have plagued you for years are not there. I see my favorite needle phobia back there. She's smiling away. If I asked you to come down here and give me a shot, could you do it today? Yeah, because you have an experience which has changed everything. One of the things you have to do when people come to you is to convince them, and this is why I think rapid inductions are so important, that, and it saves a lot of time, that if you can do rapid inductions with people, no matter how much their beliefs are built up, that everything is going to be the same and they're going to come in once a week and whine and for years and years and years. When you look at them and raise one eyebrow and the next thing they know, they're sitting in a deep trance. That's the thing that will help you so that you get by lots of stuff, because you provide people with a convincing experience. Now, I wanted to start with one which is fairly common. Let's see, what have we got here? What's your name, sir?
Arek.
I beg your pardon?
Arek.
Eric?
A-R-E-K.
Would you come down here, please? I tell you what, in a minute I'm going to ask you to sit in this chair, but not yet. Okay, now, one of the things that happened when Milton... Yeah, I know that, look. You ever heard of Satan? He's afraid of me too. I went to Rome once to meet the Pope and they told me no. I go, I just want to shake his hand. Now, when Milton did the handshake induction, of course, Milton, being paralyzed with his right hand, took his hand and he extended it like this. When the person's hand came up, he just grabbed a hold of it like this and began to talk to them slowly and comfortably. And while he did, he altered his state slightly so that he began to go into a trance, which he spent most of his life in. And he began to touch ambiguously. And as he touched ambiguously, suddenly he looked at the person and said, "Close your eyes now and really relax." And as you do so, you're going to do the very same thing that you did when you first stood up firmly and strongly. That's right. Because in a minute, I'm going to ask you to sit down. And when I do, I want you to drop all the way into a deep trance. Now, sleep. That's right, all the way back. Really relax. And go deeper and deeper still. Because while you're dropping down into a deep, comfortable, relaxed, wonderful state, you're learning something like you very first did. When you first went to school and you saw the task of writing letters and numbers of the alphabet, you didn't know just how much. It would give you an infinite amount of opportunity to read books about different things. Now, right now, you can begin to slow your heart rate down, your blood pressure can drop slightly, and suddenly from your past, ideas will begin to bubble up. Silly ideas. Ideas with a giggle attached to them. Now, I'm going to grab a hold of your head. I'm going to slowly pull it forward. And as I do, I want you to go all the way down, deeper and deeper and deeper still. That's right. Now, I know it says in the books about hypnosis that it takes hundreds of hours to teach people to go into a trance. I'm just not that patient. And neither will you be. Because right now, while he drifts down deeper and deeper still, I'm going to reach over and I'm going to pick up his left arm and I'm not going to tell him to put it down any faster. Then he goes into a trance that's deep and comfortable, while only silly things from his past begin to emerge, things with a giggle attached to them, things that you maybe haven't thought about in years. Because the amazing thing about giggling is it happened at the time when we did our best learning, when you were with your friends and playing games, when you were in school and the teacher did something and you started laughing and you couldn't stop. All that giggly stuff that was there was the foundation of what built you strengths later in life. Now, I know that you know more about you than I do, and that's a good thing, because I'm very critical. But I also know that things which bother you in the present may not in the future. Now, because one of the things that you can do as that hand goes down is begin to double that giggling. And double it again. That's right. And double it again. Till it seems so silly. And every time things seem silly, you're going to take this feeling. And by the time your hand touches your knee, things are going to seem totally hysterical. That's right. Now, while you keep that silly feeling, I want you to think of what the most serious problem in your life is. Because it's only through having a perspective that you get a chance to do things differently. Now, I know that it's important that we learn to make changes so that when I tell you to even go deeper and sleep, that's right, I'm very serious about it, because I know this is only the beginning of really drifting down into a much deeper and deeper state. Now, what's your name, dear?
Patricia.
Come here, dear. It's all right. Come on out here. See this chair right here? This one here is mine. Okay. You just sit for a spell, okay? Okay. Now, because one of the things that they kept telling me was that here they had people locked away in hospitals and they didn't know what to do with them. And yet they said, unless you had the same skills they had, you couldn't talk to them. Since their skills didn't work, it seemed to me that we needed new sets of skills. So I made up the term neurolinguistic programming so that, because I knew they would have no idea. In those days, computers were in 4-story buildings. Floppy disks were this big. They were called RKO5s. Tape drives, the tape was this thick on them. They had flashing lights. They were more satisfying than a laptop that looks at you and goes, syntax error. You know, hard disk crash, that's my favorite one, because when it says that, I take it as a command. I'm just like that. Okay, dear. Now, somebody asked me yesterday, and they sent me a little note, and it said, we saw you do a nonverbal induction, and all you did was look at this person. And they went into a trance, and they said, can you teach me to do that? Who wrote me that note?
I wrote it before you told us to do it, before you taught us how to do it.
You wrote it before I told you how to do it?
I wrote it the day before, but I didn't put it in the box until 2 days later. It was in my bag.
Yeah. Okay. So you know how to do it perfectly now.
Sort of.
Sort of? What's your name, dear?
Tanya.
Tanya? Would you come down here, Tanya? Thank you. Now, I want you to sit there, okay? Because I'm going to show you how you do this, and I'm going to try to break it in. See, because remember, one kind of hypnotic induction that's very rapid, of course, is to interrupt a pattern, like a handshake. Okay? And when you interrupt a handshake, or in this case, you know, I just interrupted it, and took his hand and left it cataleptically, and so he could go into a really, really deep trance. Now, on the other hand, the other kind of hypnotic induction has to do with focusing somebody's attention. Now, you can have them stare at a candle, but I don't have one, so we'll have to hallucinate that. And rather than hallucinate that, all I'm going to ask you to do is just to look at me, because I'm going to show you where deep trance is. Because I've discovered over the years that people learn very fast non-verbally. You ready? Here we go. That's right. Take a deep breath in through your mouth. That's right. Now close your eyes. That's right. And just drop down and start to relax. Take a deep breath in through your mouth. Don't worry about your face. It'll be there when you come back. I know you were a little nervous, but that will fade. Just let it relax. Start with your forehead. And we'll just touch your third eye. And just drift down and really relax and soften your cheek muscles. Take a deep breath in through your mouth, let it out through your nose, and just drop down. Relax. Everything's going to be okay. That's right. And while you drop down, because in a minute, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. What was your name again?
Tanya.
Hi, Tanya. Sleep. That's right. Now, you're next. That's right. Because hypnotic inductions are not that difficult if you watch for the right moment. If you watch people, they're drifting in and out all the time. You just have to catch the right moment and to mark it off so that people can go into a state where they can begin to learn to just relax. That's right, and go deeper and deeper still. Because the process of learning, whether or not you have somebody fix on something or whether you interrupt a pattern, it really doesn't matter that much. It's just a chance to teach people how to go into an altered state where they get good feelings that will stay with them for the rest of their life. Because not only does he have giggles in his past, he has them headed in his future. That's right. And he's not the only one that knows how to giggle. That's right. Excuse me, let me walk around here for a second. That's right. I think we better move this so that it's where it belongs, squarely on your shoulders, just before you drop all the way down. That's right. Now I'm going to touch you on the shoulders, and all I'm going to do is touch her gently. When you do this, there's no reason to poke anybody. All I'm going to do is tighten my hands, but I'm not going to squeeze. And when I relax, so will you. That's right. Because you don't need all that tension, dear. You should learn the secret of being a strong woman. Store your tension in other men. My wife did it, and it worked perfectly. She would walk up to me and go, "There's something I'm really worried about." And I'd go, "What is it, dear?" And she'd tell me, and then she'd be fine, and I could do the worrying. She goes, "That kitchen counter really needs to be cleaned. It might have germs on it." That's right. And start to repeat the word inside your mind that says soften, soften, soften. That's right. And just let that stuff go. Just relax now. Let all that go. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Relax. That's right. Deeper and deeper down. Let yourself float down on the waves of time and change. It's about time you found a way to find yourself feeling good in spite of yourself. So the more you try to not relax the course, the more you will. And you'll just drift down. Let all that stuff go. You don't need that stuff. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, soften. There we go. Feel softer. Now double that. That's right. Double it again. And then think of something totally silly. Come on, there's something sillier than that. That's right. Double that. That's right. Now I'm going to pick up this arm just like this, and I'm not going to tell you to put it down any further than your face. Because as your hand approaches towards your face, it's only the attraction to new learnings. And the closer it gets to your face, the sillier it's going to seem. And the sillier it seems, the more relaxed you'll get. And at the moment it touches your face, you're going to drop all the way down deeper and deeper still. That's right. Atta girl. Life is tough. The look on your face is priceless. Oh no, he's coming back! Oh no! Feel like that old Saturday Night Live sketch. Please, Mr. Bill. Okay. What's your name, ma'am?
Jocelyn.
I beg your pardon?
Jocelyn.
Jocelyn?
Jocelyn, yes.
And? Teresa. Jocelyn and Teresa, will you come down here, please? Would you just sit here for a minute, please? Okay. Now, do you see my point? Okay. Just look at it, okay? Stare at it. Okay. And what I want you to do is take a deep breath in through your mouth and slowly let it out through your nose. Now, I know that you believe the sun is coming up tomorrow, because if you thought this was the last day on Earth, this would probably be the last place you'd be. And as long as you can believe the sun is coming up, you can believe something is coming. It's as simple as this. Sleep. That's right. And just let yourself go down deeper. Take a deep breath and drift. Because if you let yourself, for that instance, just float back inside yourself and feel yourself on side of your face beginning to cycle like this, right around like that. Let your consciousness move. Because the thing that creates altered states is taking your consciousness and doing something with it that you don't normally do. Come here, dear. Hundreds of hours it takes to hypnotize people, thousands of hours. And you can't cross any kind of cultural line. So therefore, this won't get stuck up here like this. Because when it, no. That's just, there we go. So that when it goes down, I want you to go deeper and deeper. That's right. And deeper and deeper. There you go. Because I want you to learn something of importance. That's right. Here we go. All the way down. That's right. Deeper and deeper still in the process of learning. Because while you begin to go, I pledge allegiance, we do that in America, to the flag. Right. Not to the country, just to the flag. They teach us to do such silly stuff in America in school. They probably don't do that kind of stuff here. We hid under our desks from atomic bombs. Who thought that up? Like that's really going to work. We don't chew gum in front of Richard. It makes him crazy. Sorry about that. Anyway, now, while you guys relax, let's see, I've got an empty chair. What the hell am I going to do with this chair? What you doing, dear? What's your name?
Anita.
Anita, would you mind coming up here, Anita? It's okay, go ahead, sit down. It's all right. Just relax, it's all right. Nothing unusual is about to happen any second now. That's right, just relax a little bit. You guys are a little too tense after being around for so long. You should, if you know, after being on planet Earth more than 10 years, something inside your mind should go, is it really worth worrying about? You know, tomorrow it's just going to be another thing. They're going to blow up the tube again, you know. You know, just think of what, I come from America. Look who we've had. It's the last few presidents. I mean, it all went downhill. Then we went Richard Nixon, right? And then there was Lyndon Johnson. This is, you know, this guy put 400,000 people in Vietnam. That would double the population of the country. Just ridiculous stuff. And I mean, there was big war protests and people were, you know, having free speech movements, you know, like speech was in jail or something. Crazy stuff. And then it started getting weirder and weirder. And I liked Reagan. Reagan was kind of fun because he couldn't remember from one minute to the next what was going on. I thought that's a good thing for a president. You know, he would go, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. What wall? That's right. Let your hand go down. Loose, drop. All the way. There you go. Sleep. That's right. All the way down. Now just let it go. Too many thoughts inside that mind. There you go, just really. Now, the other thing which creates really deep states is something called cranial osteopathy. Now, I don't really do cranial osteopathy. I just noticed when they did it, people went into powerful altered states. It has to do with pacing the fluids underneath the brain at about, they pulsate at about 8 beats a minute. And if you pace them, just like if you pace somebody's breathing, if you put your hand on their chest and when they breathe out, you move your hand up a little bit, and when they breathe in, you move in a little bit. Then pretty soon you can move it out a little bit further and in a little bit further, and they'll begin to really relax. That's right, all the way down. That's right. There you go. Let your head go forward. Let it go forward. Just let go. There you go. That's right. Let your mind go. You don't need it right now. Because what we want to do is to find some of the things that you can do in altered states which will help you to make changes that could stay with you for the rest of your life. How you doing, kiddo?
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
All right. I have a question for you. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, good. I want to ask you, is there anything in your life that you think maybe you take too seriously? Yes. What was it? Oops, Richard snuck up on him when he wasn't looking. Zoop. Well, I told him to. What do you expect? You know, it's just going to happen that way. Okay. All the way up now. Come on. How you doing?
All right.
You doing okay? Let me ask you this. Is there things you take too seriously? Mm-hmm. They get on your nerves. Are you married?
Partly.
Partly. What is it? You can never get straight answers from women these days. My wife wouldn't even answer that question. You know, I go, are we married? And she'd go, sometimes. She'd go, sometimes you do what I say, and other times I think, well. So partly, huh? Okay. So, I mean, do you like live with somebody and share the same house? So
No,
you don't.
just moving out from somebody.
Oh, okay. Kicked him to the curb. Huh? Well, that's okay. You know, just think how many, you know that there's something like 7.5 billion men wandering around loose on the planet. There's got to be a good one out there somewhere. That's what my wife told me. Can you imagine having to put up with me every day? You know, she just didn't pay any attention to me. She would just go, excuse me, I need some money. And I'd go, what's it for? And she goes, what do you care? And I go, well, maybe I don't. And she goes, then just shut up, you know. She goes, go play with your clients. But anyway, so, I mean, do you like to have bouts where you have bad feelings, you know? You know, because I know people do that. They get like too much time on their hands, and they go, what could I feel bad about? And then they start feeling bad about it. And that's really important, you know, because otherwise, you know, you might enjoy life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know that silly feeling you had? You remember that? Okay, now think about the things you feel bad about.
Can't think of any now. They've gone.
Please.
They've gone. Can't think of anything.
Just one, please. I try so hard, you know. Tim and I had spent 40 years trying to come up with a technique to help you, but I guess I'm just stuck, you know. Anyway, sleep. Hi, how you doing there?
Yeah, good.
Good, good. So you got an idea how to do an unverbal induction now? Now that you've seen it up close and in person, those are great earrings.
Thank you.
I like want to climb up them or something. Get up those earrings. So if you were going to put somebody into deep trance and they were just looking at you and they looked at you and suddenly they went, that's right, close your eyes now. Let's see, we're heading towards the first hour. We only have a 99 left. How you doing, dear? Feel okay?
I think it's spaced out.
It's spaced out. So, but you're much more alert than everybody else here. I noticed that. So tell me, what kinds of things do you worry about? You got worries and problems and stuff that you sit around and just feel bad by yourself and stuff?
Yeah.
That stuff's really important, isn't it? Because if you didn't worry about it, the world would come apart at the molecules.
Well, I know it wouldn't. I don't feel it would. I mean, I feel it would.
What are you looking at up there? What the hell's up there? Is that what you worry about, that thing up there? Oh, okay. Well, so can you think about what you feel bad about? Do you feel bad about it now?
No, I can't.
You know what a psychologist would call this? Resistance. Aha, what are you avoiding? That's what they would ask you. What are you avoiding? You're avoiding the pain in your life. Don't you know that you have to feel the pain fully and immerse yourself in the pain so that you could grow and change as a person? Why, the last psychologist that came to me, I whacked with a 2x4 to help him change. I know somebody in this audience wrote me a note, said, quit picking on psychologists. Excuse me, that's how I make my living. You know, I walked into mental hospitals and I walked out with patients, not with the staff. There was a schizophrenic who thought he was John the Baptist. That's a really bad choice if you're working with Richard. I'm the one that nailed Jesus Christ to the cross. So, and you guys, I don't know if maybe you're, you know, for some of you who haven't read about John the Baptist, they chopped his head off, you know, and just as a gift to the guy's wife, he goes, what do you want for your birthday? And she goes, oh, give me the head of John the Baptist. Loads of fun. And so he goes, oh, no problem. And they chopped his thing. So when the guy told me, I said, you know, I was in the hallway and I came by and he goes, let me baptize you. And I said, no, thanks. I said, been there, done that. And I said, who the hell are you? And he goes, I'm John the Baptist. And I said, people have been axing about you. Get that little twinge, you know. And I said, wait here, I have something in the car for you. And I just happened to have a fire axe about 4 feet long, and I came in with the fire axe, and I said, heads up. Sleep. Hi. How you doing? There's a little lag in here. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. So how you doing?
I feel more relaxed. I had a pain, a prolonged pain in the shoulder and the neck. And
Well, that's
seems
not
more
good.
relaxed
You have a
now.
prolonged pain, so it's overdue to leave, huh? Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. And just sit down. Let me take care of this, okay? I don't like pains in the neck. Okay, so it starts down here. Okay, close your eyes. Now, you know what an ice cube is? I want you to just imagine there's a little ice cube right here. Because if there was an ice cube here and somebody took the ice and spread it over here, it would start to get so cold that your mind would focus on the temperature and you'd forget about the pain. The thing about pain is that it's a message from your unconscious that says you need to do something about it. And once it's been done, then it's time to stop. And the only reason it doesn't is because there's inflammation. And the inflammation becomes irritated. But when the tissue softens and softens and softens, it begins to go away. Now I'm going to take this hand and I'm going to put it right over your heart like this again. And I'm going to rub it, and I rub it, and I want you to soften it and take a deep breath in. That's right. Let it all the way out. That's right. Now take another breath in. That's right. And I want you to just go all the way down. That's right. Because I want your unconscious, just drop this. There we go. Go deep enough that your unconscious can go inside the old control room in your mind and say enough is enough. Because if you have pains and you have worries and you have regrets, no matter what caused them, it's not important. What's important is that you begin to heal them. So you begin to heal the things in your life. We've all been through struggles. We've all had stuff happen to me. You know, I was in a car wreck. Actually, I hit a car with a motorcycle. Not a good plan. And when I did, I woke up. I had terrible pain. And the doctor came to me and he goes, geez, that must really hurt. And at the moment he said it, it did. But I thought, what an asshole. Oops, I'm not supposed to say that on TV. So I didn't say the word asshole. Forget about it. Because I know that right now, your unconscious knows that if I lift up this hand, and I tell you, I'm going to take this finger here, these two fingers, and I'm going to squeeze them, and I'm going to squeeze these, that just for a second, everything disappears. And I'm going to take your hands now, and I'm just going to put some energy down your arms. And I want you to soften all the tissue in your shoulders and your back, and just let it go. And say to yourself the magic words, fuck it, and just forget it. That's right. And let it go. Soften here, soften there. and just forget about it. Whatever happened in the past, the best thing about it is that it's over. Now, your unconscious can answer yes by lifting that finger up. Okay? And I'm going to lift this arm up. I want you to hold it there for a second, and I'm going to ask your unconscious, does it understand me? No, unconscious, that's a conscious answer. I know you consciously understand. Let your unconscious mind answer me. A full unconscious response. That's right. There it comes. All the way now. That's right. Find the little neurons there. Flick the finger, a little twitch here, a little movement there. That's right. That's right. All the way up now. That's right. Now, I want to ask your unconscious, that's okay, if it would be willing to go inside, soften the tissue, and turn off those things that are signals that are no longer useful. At the time that this started, there was a good reason for it. But the reason is gone, so now it's time to focus your attention on something important, like the feeling in the bottom of your feet. Your consciousness can only absorb a certain amount, and if you have little pains here and pains there and you pay too much attention to them, it'll only amplify them. So I want your unconscious to go to your big toe and amplify the feeling in your big toe. And then amplify some good feeling from your past, a time when you really were determined and strong and did something wonderful. There's probably lots of them. And take that feeling and double it. And in the instance between your toe and your good feeling, there's a space where everything releases. And when your unconscious is ready to take responsibility for making this pain go away, it can tell me yes. And it knows how to tell me now. That's right. Let that hand go down at the rate and speed that your unconscious makes all the necessary adjustments. Zzz. Hey, how you doing? You feel okay?
Fine, thank you.
Fine. Yeah. How about you? Do you worry about stuff?
Yeah, I suppose so, quite a lot.
You suppose so?
Yeah.
Yeah? Can you think of something that you sit around and worry about that probably you shouldn't?
Get an assignment done.
I beg your pardon?
Get an assignment done.
So you have an assignment you need to get done, and rather than doing it, you worry about it.
And I'm doing it, but I worry about if it's going to come out well enough.
And when you worry, do you worry with a voice or with pictures?
Probably a voice.
Probably a voice?
Too much wine, maybe.
What?
Too much wine, maybe.
Too much whining, maybe? Oh, okay. All right, now, I tell you what I want you to do is I want you to think about a time where you just did something. Did you ever see a guy and you went, I want that guy? Mm-hmm. And did you just walk over to him?
No, I nearly fainted.
Think of another guy. Think of one you just walked up to and said hello. No hesitation. Did you ever see a car you wanted? Did you ever see a dress and you went, that's the right dress?
Yeah.
Put the guy in the dress. Then you can have both. Now, when you saw the dress, you didn't hesitate. You went, that's perfect for me, and you just went and got it, right? Now, you know that feeling? Close your eyes for a minute and pay attention to that feeling. Let it spin round and round and round in you till it builds up, till it almost flows through every pore in your body. Down, curl your toes back and just brace that feeling. Let it spin inside you. More and more bold. That's right. Because in a moment, your hand is going to touch your forehead. And when you do, this feeling is going to seep inside your mind so that every assignment and any other guy you want, you're no longer going to be able to hesitate because that feeling will become the dominant, overwhelming, driving force in your brain now. Yeah! How does that feel?
It feels good.
Great. Close your eyes. That's right. Now, I'd like to thank all of you. You've been very cooperative. And so I want to leave you with a little present. Because I hope that all of you realize that what you're seeing here is just a demonstration that shows you can turn anything into a hypnotic induction. I handed somebody a bolt once. That's the thing that goes on the end of a screw. And it fell out of the ceiling fan. I don't know why, the ceiling fan was going around, and I was talking to this guy. And he was a psychiatrist. And he was explaining to me how he'd actually used hypnosis with a couple of his clients, but that he found it very difficult to do with most people. And in fact, he had been to Hilgard's lab in Stanford and taken the test. Now, by the way, the test that the people at Hilgard's lab used was, and this was a long time ago, they put a little tape recorder with 2 5-inch reels on the chair in front of you. And it had a hypnotic induction, which sounded much like this. I want you to see an escalator and go down, down, down the escalator. Down, 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 down. Then you'd see an elevator and go down, down, down the elevator. Then you saw another escalator and you went down, down, deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. In fact, there was not even that much voice inflection because they believed you had to be monotone. Otherwise, people would not go into a trance. The truth is, human beings are very responsive. They giggle at the touch of a finger. I don't find that people are that resistant. I find that silly things are what get people to do better. When you take your good feelings and you make your good feelings better, such that they begin to fill your whole life, then all the problems and the worries seem to disappear, and you get on with things. And giggling can spread from one person to the next person. That fast. And then it spreads on to the next person, and they start giggling. And even the next person starts giggling. And then even the last person starts giggling. Oops, damn, I forgot about something. Seriously now. Now, I'm going to count to 3, and when I do, I want you to don't just come out of trance, but first you have to go in. What was that? It's an etheric trance. Because in a moment when I count to 3, you're going to come out of trance, only this time you're really going to come out. Because the truth is most people, most of the time, are half in and half out. Really, what I do is take the half that's in and get rid of the half that's out, and then they're deeper than they were. That's my theory. But I'm not a theoretician, I'm a modeler. All I've really done is look at the things that have worked and try to distill from them what they have in common. Spiegel's technique had nothing to do with the eyes. It had to do with the fact that he had people doing something they don't normally do. When I tell somebody to pay attention to the outside of their face and to move their consciousness around like this, it's not something that they've done. So therefore, in order to do it, they have to alter their state of consciousness. And I know that you can begin to make these kinds of things up. You'll begin to notice them everywhere. It's very, very simple. It's a simple set of principles. And the deeper you can go, the deeper you can take others. And the more you can wake up, the more you can wake up others. 1, 2, almost ready to wake up and giggle. 3, beep. So I'd like to thank you very much. Big hand. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. You're not leaving yet. So how do you feel?
Much released.
Much released.
Yeah, lighter.
Lighter.
Yeah.
How about the pain? Toe hurts, huh?
When I'm not, the pain, is all around the neck. And
Is it there now?
no,
Do you want it back?
no.
Well, the next time the pain comes, I want you to just look at that toe, and it will disappear. You know why?
Why?
Because I believe in magic.
I believe that too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, 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 well. I hope this gives you an idea. I know in the course of the time you've been here that a lot of the ideas that I present to people seem somewhat new. I am not a psychologist. I've been accused of it a couple of times, but when people say, you know, are you a psychologist? I go, step outside. And usually I can convince them I'm not. But if they want to believe that pain is the doorway to feeling better, that seems to me ludicrous. And if your past caused the future, then you wouldn't be able to change it, so going to therapy would be ridiculous. Hypnosis has, for over 2,000 years, been used to do things. I mean, everybody from faith healers, excuse me, but they're using hypnotic techniques, I know them. And it doesn't matter to me whether they say God makes it happen, the universe makes it happen, your neurology makes it happen. I'm not a theoretician, I don't have to know why. I believe that if you have strong beliefs, whether they're religious beliefs or your belief in human beings, it doesn't matter to me as long as they're strong. Your strong beliefs, if they include the idea that people can have happy and fruitful lives and get rid of old pains. I know that recently I have people write me questions down and give them to me. And one of them told me that their friend had lost an arm. And when he lost that arm, the doctors gave him morphine because he had phantom limb pain. Now, I asked him, I said, does he give you the shot in the arm that is there or the one that's not there? And he looked at me like I was crazy. And he said, well, of course, he gives it to him in the arm that is there. And I said, well, how do the drugs get from the arm that is there to the arm that's not there to make the pain go away? And he looked at me like, what's the matter with you? But I think when I look at a doctor giving you an injection with a real needle in a real arm for pain that's in an arm that's not there. After the Vietnam War, I worked a lot with Vietnam vets on post-stress syndrome. I mean, I had some of them that had lampshades on their head with a broom in the middle of the night going from garden to garden. I had one guy that would lock himself in the bathroom and drive knives through the door, screaming in the middle of the night, and he wasn't qualified to go to the Veterans Hospital. I can't imagine what you had to do, but when he went there and said, I'm reliving Vietnam, I'm back in the jungles, it's bombs going off, and they said, well, I'm sorry, we're full. You'll have to go home. But if you could come back in 3 months, we may have a bed for you. Some things just don't wait. And to me, treating phantom limb pain with drugs is not the right approach. What you need to use is a hallucinated deal with hallucinated drugs. See, I used to give people placebos. That was empty gelatin capsules. And the AMA said that that was not good because I was practicing medicine. And I wasn't really. I was practicing voodoo. Because I didn't have real medicine in them. I had voodoo medicine in them. And when I said that to this doctor who was trying to chide me and say, you shouldn't be doing this. You're taking away people's pain without a medical license. How dare you? And I said, yes, but I'm not taking away real pain. I'm taking away imaginary pain. And I have a big imagination. I have enough that I can imagine no pain. And then I said, do you see my point? And I said, oh, by the way, what was your name? Because, you see, the old handshake interrupt, the one that I developed. Would you come here for a minute? You don't need a mic, or just come here, ma'am. I just wanted to show this to you. That as I evolve things, just stand in front of the chair, though, okay? Just in case. That when I developed the handshake interrupt, what I realized is that if you interrupt a single pattern of behavior and continue it somewhere, it's much better than if you just leave it hanging. So I took Milton's handshake interrupt and I changed it to this. So I just said, look at your hand. Notice the changing focus of your eyes as you close them and drop deep into a trance. That's right. Stand still, though, stiff as a board. That's right, while you relax comfortably. Because that particular handshake interrupt, one where the hand comes out, and rather than doing it, you just gently move it in front of their face and say, look, so that they begin to follow your commands. When you capture the moment, then you can do just about anything. When they say it takes hundreds of hours, I'd like to squeeze the hundreds of hours into an instance so that people can realize in a moment I'm going to reach over and I'm going to touch her on the back and she's going to have a wildly great feeling, an unexplainable sense of well-being. It's never enough, is it? Careful, dear. That's all I give on the first date. Eyes open. There you go. And you... Was that a command?
You quite like that, yeah. Oh, gosh, yeah. Don't do that.
I love the way she said that. Don't do that. That's okay. I just was going to say you can go sit back down now. That only works when I do it. If he does it, then something else won't ever work again. Your God is a jealous God. Where did I read that? I read that somewhere once. Anyway, this is just an example of the kinds of things that I expect of all of you to try. Hypnosis is something that has been underdeveloped and underlooked by most people. While they were too busy torturing rats, they didn't have time to see what was possible for human beings. To me, all of it is about learning. And more importantly, learning is what it opens up the doorway to more freedom. And believe me when I tell you, freedom is absolutely everything, and love is all the rest. Thank you very much.